Hello, podcast listeners. Thank you for tuning into the Rescue Mission podcast, where we talk about real topics that affect real people. I wanted to share with you that this episode of the podcast is a bonus episode. We sit down with a past or present program resident and get the opportunity to hear their story. We hope you find this episode informative and inspiring. If you would, please take a few moments to leave a review for the Rescue Mission podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. This spreads the word and helps us connect with people that have never heard of us before. Enjoy this bonus episode. So, Matt, we've been wanting to do this since we started the podcast. Been wanting to get some resident stories, get some people to share some of their insight, kind of their experience, what brought them to the rescue mission, what it's been like going through the program today.
Unscripted.
There is no script. There is no plan other than to share this gentleman's story. This gentleman is named Cyrus. Cyrus, how are you today, sir?
Doing pretty good, actually.
Good. We're glad to hear that. So, if somebody were to ask you, who is Cyrus, what would you say to them?
Well, he is a 19-year-old determined individual who is willing to go through any length to get his life back on track.
Third person. I like it.
What brought you to the rescue mission?
I had a bunch of issues with my foster parents and my real parents. I was adopted at a young age, and certain things led to other things, like money-wise and like abuse and everything. And eventually, it just got too much, and I started using and drinking at age 15. And one thing led to another. I got kicked out of college and got kicked out of the house, and moved in with a couple friends, and eventually they kicked me out too. And that's the first time I've ever been here. I've been here on and off for about a year now.
What has it been like being here off and on?
Well, every time I leave those doors, I'm going to be like, it's going to be different. And every time I come back, I'm like, I'm back.
Yeah.
Well, step back just a second. What was it like to come in the first time?
I was very nervous. I was scared. But there were a few people that came up to me and let me know everything was going to be okay. A couple of the downstairs residents, and I have been friends with them ever since. And they're great people.
Yeah,
they made me feel very welcomed.
But describe the situation that you were in coming in.
I was coming in. I had a backpack full of my belongings, and I had some shoes tied around the strings. And the first moment I walked in, there were a couple guys that are like, "Hey, nice shoes! Like, let me get them." And I was like, "Hey, that no thanks."
By get them, you mean they would
they would probably
borrow
steal
them permanently.
Yeah, borrow them permanently. So basically, I slept with everything my first night, but there was this really cool guy named Colt. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here know him, and he was just like, don't pay them any attention, and he just gave me some pointers on basically how to survive. And at first it was scary, and then I was like, maybe this isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now that intrigues me. What are some of the pointers to survive?
Basically, to break it all down, is once you leave your stuff unattended, it's not yours anymore. So basically, just sleep with all your stuff.
Yeah.
But from the first time I've been here and now, there has been less and less stealing, I think.
Interesting.
Like, I have seen major improvements.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. For the people that have been here for a while, they're getting that perspective that they need, and feel like they're really taking their chance and growing closer to God, and like maybe this isn't the way to go, like maybe stealing and beating people up and doing all this nasty stuff isn't really the way to go. And I don't know, maybe people are starting to get it into their head, like, hey, I mean, if we all treat each other with respect, then that's what we'll get back, and we can make this work.
I want to push in a little bit more on this when you first got here type of thing of like, I maybe the in between, like, so where you were versus where you are now. What was what turned to make you want to go from so downstairs we have emergency services, right? You need to be off the streets tonight, we got you.
Yeah.
Right? You need a place to stay, we got you.
Yeah, the weatherbed 30
Right.
day.
So so then upstairs we got programming.
Mm-hmm.
So what went from your brain being a downstairs guy to being an upstairs guy?
Well, being here from that very first time, I was only here for a week. I wasn't even here that long. And I spent at least a year away from my foster parents, and one of my buddy's moms was volunteering here for that Backpacks for Hope Hope thing. Yeah. And she saw me and she didn't know for sure it was me. And she found out that it was me. And she was like, I'm getting you out of here. Go get your stuff. You're leaving. And I'm like, okay. And I moved back in with my foster parents for a good 3 or 4 months. And then the same stuff happened again. And then I was right back here. But this time I was here for a good like 3 to 4 months. And I was in the long-term program at that time. And I was on I think it's 28 days, 21 days.
House support.
Yeah, I was on house support. And I was back in the dish tank, and I wasn't in the right state of mind. I wasn't in the right programming, I think, because mine is more mental. And me and some other guy that was in the dish tank got into an argument, and I put my hand through a table, and I went out to the hallway and basically broke down and turned in my lanyard and went out and got messed up the same day and continued that stint for a good month, and then ended up talking to one of the staff here, and he was very helpful. And with everything that happened originally, nobody was going to take me to get help, and this was the first time I was asking for help, because I normally don't, because I see it as a sign of weakness. But asking for help is probably the best thing that I've ever done, because I ended up going to a rehab for 5 months, and I came back, and I was here again, and I was only here for one night, and then I went back, and then now this time I've thought about everything in the past, me being here on and off, and me not being able to make up my mind on what I want to do. So I decided to talk to Damien, and he was telling me about outreach, and I was also talking to Gary, and they were telling me about it and everything, and I had the weekend to think about it, and I was like, I need to take action. I need to make a change. So I got upstairs into programming, and I've been there for 3.5 weeks now, and I am really determined. I'm actually out looking for jobs, trying to make a difference in my life for the better. I have like an entire plan and everything, and I'm just trying to make the people that truly believe in me proud by not making the same mistakes that I was making back then.
You seem like you're in a different headspace now than you were before too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I remember the first time I met you. You were just, you were just really concerned and yeah.
Were you a case manager with him?
Nope. Was I on outreach?
I don't know. I think so.
Okay.
This was about.
I used to work on the first floor.
Yeah,
this work second shift.
Jay
last
has
time I was
done it all.
Which is true.
Jay's done it all. But last time I was in programming, this was about a year ago. Like July.
Okay. So yeah, I would have been on outreach about a year ago.
Yeah. Well, what is it? I mean, what does like being successful look like in your brain?
Not exactly being rich and famous or anything. To me, that's not success. That's just another lame Hollywood story. To me, success is being extremely close with God.
Okay.
Loving yourself, respecting yourself and others, and honestly, just having that relationship with God and with everyone else that you truly love, and having those good friendships. And I mean, that's really success to me. I mean, forget having a house, forget having a car, because see, when I pass on, I know where I'm going because
Yeah.
I've made my peace with God. Not fully, but I'm working on it.
I think that's probably a really good place to be.
Mhm.
Is if you're like, yeah, I got there, I'm good, got it all worked out. Usually, there's a trip and a
Mhm.
fall on your face coming pretty soon.
Yep, there's always a catch.
Yeah, yeah,
But I mean, the house, a car, that's an added benefit,
sure.
but that's not my main priority.
But I think you just articulated some things that are really important that we talk a lot about, and it seems to be coming. I don't know if it's becoming a little bit of a running theme through the podcast, is that at the bottom, top, and middle of everything we're trying to do is relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be with, between you and others, you and God, you and yourself, type of thing. And I think you have something in your voice that says like that you are confident in the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's pretty cool. So where do you want to be next year?
I definitely see myself doing pretty good, having a good job, car to get me from point A to point B, and a place to stay. But most importantly, going to church every Sunday and possibly every Wednesday.
You part of a local church?
I haven't picked one out yet. Normally,
Yeah.
I go to Pathway. I've
Okay.
been going there since I was young, and I haven't been able to go since I was young. And I saw Pastor Ron at the gala
Okay.
over the weekend on Friday.
Yeah.
And funny enough, he remembered me. He was like, "I haven't seen you since you were this tall."
Nice.
And I was like, "Pastor Ron, I'd love to come to the service, but I have no way to get there." And he's like, "I think somebody comes out there and gets people to come." And I'm like,
Beautiful.
"Well, I'll figure some things out and see if I can't go."
It's what they call a divine appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cyrus, we're happy for you, and we're glad to see the progress you're making in the program. Is there anything that you want to share that you haven't had a chance to share yet?
One thing I would like to say is it works if you work it.
Okay. Okay.
Those are good words.
Good
Cyrus,
words.
thanks for being our guinea pig, being the first one to come on to our live impromptu podcast recording. All right, thanks, sir.
Thanks, man.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Rescue Mission podcast, we ask you to consider leaving a review, subscribing, following whatever platform you're on. We'd love to have you keep up with us and what's going on with the Rescue Mission podcast. Thanks for listening.